What is up, you guys? Max here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about 5 things that I love about my Chevy Camaro. I made a video talking about 5 things I hated about my car, so in this video I'm going to be talking about 5 things I actually do love about this car, because I do love this car, so I'm going to be touching on those things in this video. So let's go right into it. Alright, you guys, the first thing on this list is going to be the trunk room. In that other video I was talking about, I mentioned the trunk as being one of the negatives, and when I was talking about that, I was referring to the size of the opening in the trunk. So it's hard to actually fit things in the trunk, but once you do get things in the trunk, it is actually pretty large of an area. I'm not sure exactly how big it is, but if you can get something in here, it's pretty big, and actually it makes you wonder why they couldn't bring some of the back seats a little bit further back to give some backseat passengers some more room, because it's actually a pretty deep trunk. Now, I'm not sure this car is actually going to be used for that. Obviously, if you're buying a Camaro, you're probably not interested in the trunk space, but it is something to note that it is there. It is pretty big. You can get some, a lot in there if you can fit it in. Like I said, the opening isn't so big, but if you have a suitcase that does fit in, you could probably get, a couple in here. So now the next thing I'm going to be talking about is the sound of the car, just from stock, no modifications, no exhaust. If you listen to this car, it's actually it's not loud, but it's a good sound. So I'll play that for you, but definitely it's definitely something good to listen to. And when you're driving around for more than a day in this car, it's one of the first things you pick up on. You're like, wow, that sounds pretty good. So I'll give you guys a listen. So as you guys heard, it does sound pretty good. I made an exhaust video. I'll link that up above with the MBRP Axleback exhaust kit, but this is just the stock right now exhaust, and it does sound really good. And like I mentioned, you'll notice it immediately. And if you want a louder exhaust, obviously I'd switch it, but as far as just a pure sound, especially for a V6 from the factory, it does sound very good. The next thing I want to talk about is the power for a V6. So this car has 312 horsepower, and for a V6 from 2011, that's pretty good. It's good for a 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds, and when you're driving around, it is pretty good, and it is comparable to other V8s from the past, like the Mustang GT up until 2010. 2005 to 2010 Mustang GT had about 300 horsepower to 310 horsepower, and some other V8s of the past did have similar horsepower. So for a V6, it is pretty good. Obviously, it's always going to be less than the V8 of the same model. I've talked about this in a different video, V6s versus V8, but for a V6, the power is pretty good. You definitely feel it, and it's not, all show when you're looking at the car. It definitely does have some power to it. And one of the more important things about this car that I'm going to be mentioning is the looks. I'll put some clips of the car, but this car looks very, very good in my opinion. Obviously, like I said, that's in my opinion. I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree, but I do think that the Camaro is a generally well-liked car as far as looks, and I feel like the body lines and just the overall, when you pull up with this car, it stands out. It's different than a Mustang, different than a Challenger. It sort of has its own look to it. So that's one of my favorite things about this car, and it just definitely is super fun, and everything about it, from the wheels, like I said, the body lines, the customization, pretty much everything. I mean, it just looks great on this car, and it looks exactly like the V8, which is another cool thing about it. Without the change the engine and change the badging, it looks exactly like the V8. So if someone with a V8 says they don't like it, they're just lying, because it's basically the same, except there is an air vent on the front of the V8 of the 2010 to 13 Camaros. The last thing I'm going to be talking about is the gas mileage on the car. The gas mileage is pretty good. I believe it's 18 on the city and 27 on the highway. I'll put it up on the screen, but it's just probably about that because I fill this car up once a week. I don't feel like it's like a gas guzzler. You know, you think with a car with 300 plus horsepower, you'd be filling it up left and right, but that really isn't the case, and I really haven't had a problem with it. And I thought going in, it might be annoying, but no, it's, because I was doing a lot of research on that, thinking that it would, it cost me a ton for gas, but really it's just, normal, just like a regular car, that you'd be driving. Maybe a little worse, but you're obviously getting a lot more fun out of the car. Alright, you guys, that's it for this video. Those are 5 things I love about my V6 Chevy Camaro. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you're thinking about getting a Camaro, I hope this was a little eye-opening and just giving you my experience. I hope it is helpful, and that's it for this video. See you guys in the next one. Peace.